Hello! Welcome to GMAT Tuesdays. My name is Kevin, and I'm here to tell you about what matters in the real world. Voila! Hello! Just kidding. The monkey's not teaching today. I am. Let's put him here, though. Can he sit there? Yes. Okay. Hello. We are looking into what matters in the real world. Real world matters. A student actually requested that I cover some of these concepts, which is super awesome and tickles me because I studied politics in college. So, oh no, I'm sorry. He does that when he falls. Okay, enough with the monkey. Let's get down to business. So first, I just need to say, these are insanely complex philosophies, and I'm going to boil them down to a couple of concepts and try to keep it very simple. Don't take my word for what these things are. You really need to go and do your own research. But let's do just a brief survey of these things. So, liberalism. Liberalism was a concept that's accredited to John Locke. He was an Englishman writing during the Enlightenment, so in like the 17th century. And he said that each person has the right to life and liberty and property. He just said that fundamentally, if you are born into this world, you deserve those things. And so his philosophy underpins liberalism. And liberalism is a reaction to a lot of things actually, but in that time period there were kings who had absolute power over their people. They claimed divine right, which means they claimed that God said that they should be there. And so John Locke said, I don't believe that to be true, and I've got some other ideas. So, two major concepts. If you think of liberalism, you should think liberty and equality. Liberty is a concept that basically means you are free to act in this world without being restrained, especially by a government. Equality means that under the laws of the land, every single human being should be treated equal. There's no difference between person A and person B and person C. They all should be treated equally under the law. Some concepts related to liberalism, and I should say too, liberalism is a political philosophy. It's about how we should organize our society and live among each other. And so what that means is that usually it ends up being a democracy. Liberalism believes in free and fair elections, so they're not going to be, people aren't coerced, and you get to choose who you want to represent you. Liberalism believes in the freedom of religion, so anybody can practice any religion that they want to. Freedom of press means that the newspapers and media are not sponsored by the state and controlled by the state. They can publish and say what they feel, or what they think, I should say. Civil rights is a big concept in liberalism, so this is the fight for equality, so that different types of people are treated similarly. And then finally, another major concept in liberalism is private property, the right to own private property, that something can be yours. Like, this is my pen. Well, actually, it's not my pen, but this is a Magoosh pen. So that is liberalism. Socialism is fundamentally, or more, I shouldn't say fundamentally, but it's more of an economic concept than a political concept, although in socialism there is a political ideal that comes about. And so the concept behind socialism is that everything in this society is held and regulated by the community. So that means everything that you guys make and everything that is exchanged is owned by everyone. Within socialism, there are no social classes, so there's not like an upper class, a middle class, and a lower class. There's no money, because there's no reason to exchange money if everyone just owns everything, if the community owns all of the things. And in socialism is a very old idea. It's hard to credit it with one single person because this idea of communal ownership goes back very far in time. So there's many varieties of socialism, and a lot of the variation that exists in socialism is based on the role of the state and the role of the community in regulating and organizing the things. So if you guys all have, like, let's say you all have a corn farm, someone has to decide how to distribute the corn to everyone in the community equally, and so where socialism has its varieties is how you would answer that question. One side note is that you hear about social programs nowadays, and that doesn't mean that it's socialism where everything is held in common. It usually means that something should be a public good, so that the government or state should be administering or giving something to the citizens of that country. Moving forward, finally we have communism. Communism is credited to Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. For some reason, Engels is not mentioned as much. Karl Marx is the one that usually is associated with communism. And communism is very similar to socialism. And actually, Marx and Engels saw communism as the final stage of our historical development, that capitalism was one stage, socialism is the next stage, and then the final stage would be communism. And so socialism and communism are very similar. The only difference is that in communism, you no longer have a state. There's no one who's in charge of, like, giving out the corn anymore. It's just very clear who should get corn and who shouldn't. And so there's no need for a state. And again, you still don't have any classes. There's no money at all in communism. And going back to these concepts up here, Marx and Engels talked about communism, or the realization of communism. There would be they would abolish the class system. And what they saw as the classism was this rise in industry in Europe, and they saw that there were these two classes, the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. The proletariat were the workers, and they were the ones working in the factory. They were the ones producing things, and the bourgeoisie were a small group of people who owned everything and were benefiting greatly from the work of the proletariat. And so Marx and Engels saw this as a bad thing, saw the bourgeoisie as exploiting the proletariat and gaining a lot of wealth because of their work. So that's the shortest version of these political concepts that I can give you. Remember, I am not talking about actual things here. These are philosophical ideas. Whether you want to talk about an actual state that's done these things, it's an entirely different conversation. I'm not talking about that at all. This is political philosophy. All right, that's it. Have an excellent day. Be excellent to the universe, and I will see you next time.